बोलिए श्री सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय। बोलिए श्री वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। Jai Jai Sitaram, and a cordial welcome, devotees, to all of you joining with us this morning here at the Mandir, as well as those of you who are joining us virtually to engage in our Sunday devotion. So at this time, as we prepare for our opening pratana, those who are performing puja at home, and you do have flowers, please take a flower in your hand. And we all clasp our hands, we close our eyes, we bow our heads. We focus our minds at the feet of Shri Krishna Bhagavan as we do our opening pratana. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Guru Charana Kamale Bhyo Namo Namaha. Om Swasti Nandro Bridashravah Swasti Na Pushah Vishwavedah Swasti Nastakshurishtanemi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadhatu. Om Sham no Mitra Sham Varuna Sham no Bhavatu Aryamam Sham no Indro Brihaspati Sham no Vishnurukramam. Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayu Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Varishyami Ritam Varishyami Satyam Varishyami Tanmam Avatu Tarvaktaram Avatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Dhyo Shanti Antarikshagam Shanti Prithvi Shanti Apah Shanti Oshadai Shanti Vanaspatai Shanti Vishvideva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvagam Shanti Shantireva Shanti Samah Shanti Ridhi. Those who are participating in puja, you chant your Rashi names in your minds. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Vishnur Vishnur Vishnu Namah Paramatmane Shri Puran Purushottam Adya Shri Brahmano Nidvitya Paradhi Shri Shweta Varaha Kalpe Vaivasvat Manvantarim Ashtavinashati Tame Kali Yuge Kali Prathama Charane Bholoke Jambudvipe Kanada Varshi Skabro Grami Baudhavatari Shubhamasi Shubhapakshi Shubhatithi Amuk Namasya Mukha Gotram Namaham Daihik Daivik Bhautik Tatraya Iti Shri Panch Mahadevata Shri Krishna Bhagavan Havan Pujanam Shankalpam Karishye. Offer your flower. We now do Pavitra, purification. We sprinkle the water around our altar area 3 times. Om Apavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavasthangato Apeva Yashmarit Pundarikaksham Sabhahyabhyantaram Suchi. Om Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. We prostrate to our altar 3 times, envisioning that we are bowing to Dharti Mata, Mother Earth. Om Shama Shvame Parasparsham Shama Shile Paratpare Ram Krishna Dikanantvam Mata Prithave Namastude. We bow to the ground, we take our seats. Om Prithave Tvayadrita Loka Devi Tvam Vishnunadrita Tvam Chadharya Mam Nityam Pavitram Kuru Chasanam Iti Asanam Samarpayami. Prem se asan lijiye, please have your seats. We now compose ourselves, we prepare ourselves to invoke the divine presence and blessings of Panch Mahadevata, of course, beginning with Lord Ganesha. We focus our minds upon him as we seek his presence and blessings this morning. Hari Om Vigneshwaraya Varadaya Surpriyaya Lambodharaya Sakalaya Jagadhitaya Nagananaya Shruti Yagya Vibhoshitaya Gauri Sutaya Gananatha Namo Namaste Om Ekadantaya Vidamahi Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat Om Ganganapataye Namaha Om Ganganapataye Namaha Om Ganganapataye Namaha Boli Shri Gajanan Swami Ki Jai. We now focus our minds upon Adi Shakti Durga Mata, our Universal Mother, as we seek her blessings this morning. Om Sarva Mangal Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trayambike Gauri Narayane Namostute Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalini Durgakshama Shiva Dhatri Swaha Swadha Namostute Om Dum Durgaya Namaha Om Dum Durgaya Namaha Om Dum Durgaya Namaha Boli Shri Adi Shakti Durga Mata Ki Jai. We meditate, contemplate upon the divine form of Shiv Shankar Bhagwan. Om Tat Purushaya Vidamahi Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudra Prachodayat Namah Shambhavaya Cha Mayo Bhavaya Cha Namah Shankaraya Cha Mayaskaraya Cha Namah Shivaya Cha Shiva Taraya Cha Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya. Boli Shri Mahapati Mahadeva Ki Jai. This very beautiful Sunday morning, we offer pranam, obeisance. We bow our heads most humbly at the feet of Surya Narayana Swami. हाथ जोर बिनती करो सूर्य देव भगवान दास आपनो जानि प्रभु करहु सदा कल्याण आदिदेव नमस्तुभ्यं प्रसीदा मम भास्कर दिवाकर नमस्तुभ्यं प्रभाकर नमोस्तुते ओम सूर्याय नमः ओम सूर्याय नमः ओम सूर्याय नमः। बोली श्री सूर्य नारायण स्वामी की जय। We pay obeisance to that Supreme Lord in the form of Shri Krishna Bhagavan, that last major manifestation, incarnation of Sri Mahavishnu himself. Om Shantakaram Bhujagshayinam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gagan Sadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmi Kantam Kamalnayanam Yogi Bhirdhyanagam Vande Vishnu Bhavabhay Haranam Sarvalokaikanaatham Om Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahman Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Shri Govindaye Namo Namaha Namo Vijnana Rupaya Paramananda Rupini Krishnaya Gopinathaya Shri Govindaye Namo Namaha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Boli Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. So at this time, devotees will be engaging, making offerings to Shri Krishna. So those who are performing puja at home, please join us in making these offerings. Firstly, we'll offer water. Hari Om Gange Shayamune Chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalyasmin Sinadim Kurum Shri Krishna Bhagavan Arghyam Padyam Snanam Samarpayami. We offer Chandan. Om Shri Khanda Chandanang Divyam Gandadhyo Samanoharam Vilepanam Surshreshrang Shri Krishna Bhagavan Chandanang Samarpayami. We offer Pushpa, flower. Om Malyadini Sugandheni Malyatadini Vai Prabhu Mahritani Pujartam Pushpani Pratigrihyatam Shri Krishna Bhagavan Pushpam Samarpayami. We offer essence, perfume. Om Gandham Grihan Devesha Deva Deva Dayanidhi Tvameva Jagatam Natistva Tvameva Jagatam Prabhu Shri Krishna Bhagavan Gandham Samarpayami. We offer deep light arti. Om Sajang Chavarti Sanyuktam Vahnina Yujitam Maya Deepam Grihan Devesh Trailokyam Temerapaham. Boli Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. If you prepared a Naivedya, Prasad, you can hold it in your hands at this time. Firstly, passing the water around it 3 times. Om Mandakinyastu Yadvari Sarva Papaharam Shubham Taridam Kalapitam Devam Samyagyachmanyatvam Tvaya. We all now pray in our own words to Shri Krishna Bhagavan, asking that Lord to accept our humble offering of love, devotion, and to shower His grace and blessings upon us. Om Grit Pakvang Havishainam Paisham Chusharakara Dana Vidhan Naivedyam Shri Krishna Bhagavan Naivedyam Samarpayami. Om Harir Data Harir Bhukta Harir Annam Prajapati हरिर्विप्रा शरीरस्तु भुक्ते भोजयते हरि। बोली श्री वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। Touch your prasad to the murti, touch to your heads. Say Shri Krishna Arpanam. If you have flowers, tulsi leaf in your prasad, you can offer it at the feet of Shri Krishna, chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We now offer water to Shri Krishna. Om Sarva Papa Haram Devam Gangeyam Nirmalam Jalam Achmanyam Chamaya Dattam Grihan Parameshwaram Shri Krishna Bhagavan Achmanyam Samarpayami. If you prepare the dakshina to offer, you can offer it at this time. Om Nagpal Supal Maulave Vanditangri Yugala Prabhu Hari Dakshinang Purare Shri Krishna Bhagavan Danam Dakshinaye Samarpayami. Boli Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. So at this time, as we prepare to engage in our mantra jap havan, we'll have two short bhajans or kirtans, one dedicated to Lord Ganesha, firstly, of course.
शारद देवी सरस्वती
देवी शारदा देवी सरस्वती
देवी शारद देवी सरस्वती
देवी शारदा देवी सरस्वती
दुर्गा भवानी काली कपालिनी
दुर्गा भवानी काली कपालिनी
दुर्गा भवानी काली कपालिनी
दुर्गा भवानी काली कपालिनी
जगतो धारिणी जय जय अम्बे
जगदोधारिणी जय जय अम्बे
जगतो धारिणी जय जय अम्बे
जगदोधारिणी जय जय अम्बे
देवी शारद देवी सरस्वती
देवी शारदा देवी सरस्वती
देवी शारद देवी सरस्वती
देवी शारदा देवी सरस्वती
दुर्गा भवानी काली कपालिनी
दुर्गा भवानी काली कपालिनी
दुर्गा भवानी काली कपालिनी
दुर्गा भवानी काली कपालिनी
जगतो धारिणी जय जय अम्बे
जगदोधारिणी जय जय अम्बे
देवी शारद देवी सरस्वती
देवी शारदा देवी सरस्वती
देवी शारद देवी सरस्वती देवी शारद देवी सरस्वती
बोली श्री गजानन स्वामी की जय, श्री सरस्वती देवी की जय। So at this time, devotees, we prepare ourselves for mantra jap havan. So I do hope that everyone is sitting before your havan kund at this time. So whilst I chant this mantra, we will ignite the fire, inviting Agni Devta to accept our offerings this morning. Hari Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Dhayuriva Bhumna Prithviva Varimna Tasyaste Prithvi Deva Yajanim Prishti Yaganim Anadam Anadayadadhi Boliye Shri Agni Devata Ki Jai. Firstly, we pass the water around the fire 3 times. Om Mandakinyastu Yadvari Sarva Papaharam Shubham Taridam Kalpitam Devam Sam Yagya Achmanyatvam Tvaya Shri Agni Devtachmanyam Samarpayami. We begin making our offerings now at the recitation of Swaha. We offer small amounts while repeating Swaha together. Om Shri Ganesh Devatabhyo Namaha Swaha Om Ganganapataye Namaha Swaha Om Ganganapataye Namaha Swaha Om Shri Gauri Mataye Namaha Swaha Om Shri Shankar Bhagavan Bhyo Namaha Swaha Om Shri Agni Devtabhyo Namaha Swaha Om Shri Mahalakshmi Mataye Namaha Swaha Shri Mahavishnu Bhagavan Bhyo Namaha Swaha Om Namo Narayanaya Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Surya Devta Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Chandra Devta Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Mangal Devta Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Buddha Devta Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Brihaspati Devta Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Shukra Devtabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Shani Devtabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Rahu Devtabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Ketu Devtabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Pranayabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Apanayabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Samanayabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Indriyayabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Udanikayabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Ishtadevtabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Kuldevtabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Sthan Devtabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Gram Devtabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Mata Pita Charan Kamlebhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Shantiko Devtabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Panchpal Devtabhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Das Dikpal Devtabhyo Namaha Swaha Om Shri Adi Shakti Durga Mataye Namaha Swaha Shri Arundhati Devi Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Bhadrakali Devi Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Santoshini Devi Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Rudrani Devi Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Brahmani Devi Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Parameshwari Devi Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Ambike Devi Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Chandike Devi Bhyo Namaha Swaha Om Aim Saraswati Mataye Namaha Swaha Shri Ramchandra Bhagavan Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Krishna Bhagavan Bhyo Namaha Swaha Shri Hanumate Namaha Swaha. We all join together as we chant Brahm Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Swaha. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Swaha. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Swaha. Mahamrityunjay Mantra. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushte Vardhanam Urvarukam Eva Vandanam Mrityor Mukshyamamritat Swaha. ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमेव वन्दनामृत्युर्मुक्ष्यमामृतात् स्वाहा ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमेव वन्दनामृत्युर्मुक्ष्यमामृतात् स्वाहा. We chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 27 repetitions together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Swaha. 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 Shri Sarva Devta Devyo Bhyo Namaha Swaha. Shri Sarva Devta Devyo Bhyo Namaha Swaha. Shri Sarva Devta Devyo Bhyo Namaha Swaha. Final offering. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Sarvam Vai Purnagvam Swaha. Boli Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. Pass the water around the fire 3 times. Om Sarva Papa Haram Devam Gangeyam Nirmalam Jalam Achmanyam Chamaya Dattam Grihana Parameshwaram Shri Agni Devta Achmanyam Samarpayami. Take blessings from your havan. Boli Shri Satya Sanatan Dharma Ki Jai. So before we go into our small discourse this morning, we'll have one more bhajan, kirtan.
Govinda Gopal Prabhu Giridhare.
Govinda Gopal Prabhu Giridhare.
हृदय विहारी बराचित चोरा हृदय विहारी बराचित चोरा गोविंद गोपाल प्रभु गिरिधारी गोविंद गोपाल प्रभु गिरिधारी गोविंद गोपाल हृदय विहारी गोविंद गोपाल हृदय विहारी गोविंद गोपाल प्रभु गिरिधारी गोविंद गोपाल प्रभु गिरिधारी नंद के बाला नवनीत चोरा नंद के बाला नवनीत चोरा विनय विहारी बराचित चोरा विनय विहारी बराचित चोरा गोविंद गोपाल प्रभु गिरिधारी गोविंद गोपाल प्रभु गिरिधारी गोविंद गोपाल प्रभु गिरिधारी गोविंद गोपाल प्रभु गिरिधारी
बोली श्री वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। बोली श्री रज रामचंद्र भगवान के जय। So this morning, devotees, will be once more reading out of the pages of Sri Ramcharitamanas as we prepare ourselves to engage in this divine scripture. I ask once more that we clasp our hands, we close our eyes, we bow our heads as we offer this humble prarthana before we begin. Hari Om. Varnanam arth sanghana rasanam chandasampi mangalanam chakartaro vande vani vinayako भवानी शंकरो वंदे श्रद्धा विश्वास स्वरूपिणा याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्त स्थमीश्वरम् वंदे बोधमयं नित्यं गुरुशंकर रूपिणम् यमाश्रितो हि वक्रोऽपि चन्द्रा सर्वत्र बन्ध्यते सीताराम गुणग्राम पुण्यारण्य बिहारिणा वन्दे विशुद्ध विज्ञान कवीश्वरा कपीश्वरो। श्री रामायण सुमिरन। जेहि सुमिरत सिद्धि हो गणनायक कर वहर बरना करो अनुग्रह सो बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदना मूक होई वाचा पंगो चढ़य गिर वर गहना जासु कृपा सुदया द्रवौ सकल कर नहला नहना नील सरोहस्या तरुण अरुण बारी जनयना करो स्वमम ऊर्ध्वाम् सदा क्षीरसागर शयना कुन्दयेन्दु समदेहा उमार मन करुणायना जाहि दीन परनेहा करो कृपा मनमयना बंदव गुरु पद का कृपा सिंधु रूप हरे महामोह तन पुंज जासु बचन करने करा सियापति राम चंद्र जी की जय शरणम। बोलिए श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। Before we engage in our devotion in the form of discourse this morning, I ask that we all join our voices as we sing very beautifully the names of Maryada Purushottam Prabhu Shri Ram. रामचंद्र रघुबीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा रामचंद्र रघुबीरा
रामचंद्र रणधीरा
रामचंद्र रघुबीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा बोलो
रामचंद्र रघुबीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा
रामचंद्र मम बंधो रामचंद्र दया सिंधो रामचंद्र मम बंधो
रामचंद्र दया सिंधो
रामचंद्र मम बंधो रामचंद्र दया सिंधो
रामचंद्र मम बंधो रामचंद्र दया सिंधो
रामचंद्र रघुरामा रामचंद्र परम धामा
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 रामचंद्र रघुनाथा रामचंद्र परम नाथा
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 बोलो रामचंद्र रघुबीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा बोलो
रामचंद्र रघुबीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा
रामचंद्र रघुबीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा
रामचंद्र रघुवीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा
रघुराम परम धामा
रघुराम परम धामा
रघुराम परम धामा मम बंधु दया सिंधु
दया सिंधु
रघुनाथा परमनाथा
परमनाथा
रघुवीरा रणधीरा
रणधीरा
जय राम श्री राम
श्री राम
रामचंद्र रघुवीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा बोलो
रामचंद्र रघुवीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा
रामचंद्र रघुरामा रामचंद्र परमामा रामचंद्र रघुरामा
रामचंद्र परमात्मा
बोलो रामचंद्र रघुनाथा रामचंद्र परमनाथा
रामचंद्र रघुनाथा रामचंद्र परमात्मा
रामचंद्र मम बंधो रामचंद्र कृपा सिंधो
रामचंद्र मम बंधो रामचंद्र कृपा सिंधु
बोलो रामचंद्र रघुवीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा
रामचंद्र रघुवीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा
We all use our voices as we chant very beautifully. Victory unto Maryada Purushottam, Prabhu Shri Ram. Jai Rama Shri Rama.
Shri Rama
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 रामचंद्र रघुवीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा बोलो
रामचंद्र रघुवीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा
रामचंद्र रघुवीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा
रामचंद्र रघुवीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा
रामचंद्र रघुवीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा रामचंद्र रघुवीरा रामचंद्र रणधीरा बोली श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय. What a beautiful energy that we build within ourselves when we take this time and we make that effort from ourselves to chant the beautiful name of the Lord. Last week, we didn't have much time for discourse, but we did speak a little bit about Kakbusundaji continuing to explain how Maya affects one and the attributes of Maryada Purushottam Prabhu Shri Ram. In that effort to explain to Garud and to all of us by extension, who is Maryada Purushottam? What are his qualities? What are his attributes? So that we have a better understanding that when we pray, when we offer devotion, when we sing our bhajans, our kirtan, who are we offering it to? Who are we thinking of? Who are we dedicating to at that time? And devotees, we didn't get to finish the last chaupai, so I'll just redo the chaupai and we'll continue from where we left off last Sunday as Kakbusundaji is continuing to say. He says, असे रघुपति असे रघुपति प्रभु असे रघुपति लीला और गारे दनुज विमोहन जन सुख हारे श्री राम जय राम
राम जय राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय
राम
जे मति मिलन जे मति मलिन विषय बस कामी श्री राम जय राम
जय जय राम
प्रभु परमोह प्रभु परमोह प्रभु परमोह धरहि स्वामी श्री राम जय राम जय जय श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय रघुपति राघव राजा रघुपति राघव राजा Kagbusundji was saying to Garudaji, as we explained last week, that the Katha Shri Ram, the divine pastimes of Shri Raghunathji, he says, Asi Raghupati Leela Urgari Danuja Bimohani Jan Sukhkari. He says that it brings great delight to the bhaktas, to the janas, to those who are devoted to Maryana Purushottam. Those who are devoted to the Lord, to those who recognize that Supreme Lord. But it brings great confusion and bewilderment to those who are demonic by nature, to the demons. As we explained last week, you don't look outside to see who is demonic. You don't look outside. This is the first thing that many individuals will do. When we hear negativity, first thing we start to look and see, who? Who is negative? Who has negativity? Devotees, first we have to look at ourselves. What is negative in my life? What is wrong in my life that I need to correct? This is the only way, devotees, that we can have improvement. You know, a wonderful saying we grew up with, that those who live in glass houses should not throw stones. You know what that means, Devesh? If you live in a glass house, you shouldn't throw a stone, because if you live in a glass house, somebody throw back a stone at you, you know what happens? Break your house. Right? So devotees, when we have deficiencies, we have negativities within ourselves, it's not our job now to look at others. It's not our job to look at others and see what deficiencies they have. First, we deal with our own. And when these deficiencies and negativities are present, devotees, the katha of the Lord will bring confusion, bewilderment to us. If it is present. Then he continues to say, Je mati malina bishay basakami. He says, those who are not so smart, those who are victims of sensual pleasures. The word he used? Victims of sensual pleasures. That we live only to satisfy the senses. Think about this, devotees. There are 5 input senses. There are 5 output senses. 5 senses of perception. 5 senses of action. And if we live only to satisfy these 10 senses, devotees, what are we doing? What are we doing? We are victims of this vishay. We are victims of this material realm, devotees. Those who are slaves of emotionalism, those who are slaves of passion, those people, Prabhu par moha dharahi imi swami, that those people, they will put that same attitude and behavior that they have upon Maryada Purushottam Prabhu Shri Ram. Boli Shri Raja Ram Chandra Bhagavan ke Jai. So those who are slaves themselves, this becomes the nature, devotees. If we are slaves to sensual pleasures, if we are slaves to being emotional, we are slaves to being passionate about material things, then this is all we can understand. This is all we can understand. So when we listen to scripture, then now it becomes very confusing, very bewildering to understand. How Shri Ram did this? How Shri Ram did that? What is the purpose? We are now becoming confused. And Kakbusundaji went on to give some wonderful examples as to how this is possible. Let us hear what he says in the next chopai. नयन दोष जा कहु जब होई पीतांबरन शशि कहु कह सोई श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम जब जेहि दिशि ब्रह्म होए खगेशा जय श्री राम बोलो
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम जय श्री राम
सो कह पश्चिम आए हो दिनेशा श्री राम जय राम
जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम Kakbusundaji goes on wonderfully to say, Nayan dosh ja kahu jab hoi, Pitabaran shashi kahu kahasui. He says that if there is nayan dosh, if there is some fault with the eye, so he says in particular, if someone has a jaundiced eye, everybody understands jaundice, right? Someone has a jaundiced eye or defective vision, and that person looks at the moon, they will say the moon is yellow, because this is what they see, isn't it? Yes? So if we see blurry and we look all over the place, everything is blurry. So this is our perception. This is what we see. So they will say incorrectly, the moon is yellow. But someone with a perfectly good vision, looking upon the moon, they will see the actual color of the moon. So this is what Kagbuk Sundaji is explaining to us. That if our mind is polluted, if our mind is harboring all these negative tendencies and qualities, and then we are trying to understand Bhagwan Sri Ram's activities through the anger, through the hatred, etc., through the greed, if we are trying to understand Bhagwan's activities through all of these qualities, then what will happen? We will naturally assume that Sri Ram is just like us. Because this is what we understand. Our perception relies upon our understanding. How much we educate ourselves. A person who only learns to count to 10 cannot perceive what is 20. Isn't it? A person who only counts to 100 cannot perceive what is 1,000. So it stands to reason, devotees, more that we educate ourselves, the greater our understanding becomes. And the education that we're speaking about is not only reading to say, I've read entire Sri Ramcharitamanas, but then at the end of it, I'm still the same person. Doesn't make any sense. Education means application of the learning. Application of what we know. That if I know something to be good and I don't apply it, then what is the use? What's the use of that knowledge? Simply taking up space in my brain for now, eventually I'll forget. Eventually I'll forget it. It's just like, teaching a child from small. Teach a child from small. When you wake up in the morning, say Sitaram, Jai Shri Krishna. And you teach them. And they practice, and then they stop practicing after a while. Because sometimes you get independent. Get independent, stop practicing. And they stop practicing now, you forget. So this is the application of the knowledge that is important. So Kagbuk Sundaji is explaining. He says, Jab jehi dishi brahm hoi kagesha. He says, O king of birds, if a person has no sense of direction, sometimes we get lost very easily if we have no sense of direction, right? If a person has no sense of direction, he'll say, So kaha pachim ayu dinesha. He says that the sun will rise in the western direction. And they will swear that is true. But little do they know and little do they understand that they don't have sense of direction. We all know sun rises in the east, on the east side. But a person with no sense of direction will say, it's rising on the west side. And they'll believe that. So what is the lesson to be learned today, devotees, from this Chaupai? The lesson to be learned is to always leave ourselves open to learning. And don't believe what we say alone is absolutely correct and absolutely true. Because that may not be necessarily so. We have to leave our minds open all the time and never feel that, oh, I know. I know. When I used to run my music classes and so on, I used to tell the children, when they come for lessons, never feel in your head that you know. Kadena Sara call you Noah. The Noah of everything. Right? We don't want to become like this. We don't want to become like this because we put a block in our own learning. We stunt ourselves at that point where we feel, oh, I already know. I already hear this Kathai now. I don't need to listen to it. I already heard this lecture from my parents. I don't need to listen to it. Devotees, if you listen with an open mind, if you listen with an open mind, there's a chance you might learn something new. There's a chance that we might learn something new. It is said, devotees, that when we speak, we are only regurgitating what we already know. But when we listen, when we look, we have a chance to learn something that we didn't know before. Which is greater? Which is greater? How the saying goes, God bless us with 2 eyes and 1 mouth, 2 ears and 1 mouth, 2 hands and 1 mouth. So he says, see twice as much as you speak, hear twice as much as you speak, at least twice as much, do twice as much as you speak. But in the world today, what we find? Complete opposite. We see 1, we talk 10. So much more than we see, we start to talk. What we even see is how we talk. This is the way of the world today. We have to be careful, devotees. We have to be careful that we do not fall into these traps. It's so easy to get carried away in this Vishay, in this world, to believe that, this is me, this is me. I am Deen, I am Divya, and this is me. If somebody says something bad about Deen, well now, we're very affected by this. This is called getting caught up in the Vishay, getting caught up in all these material things, devotees. How does one try to overcome? How does one try to overcome this seemingly insurmountable task of not being affected by material things, material thoughts, material ideas, and getting carried away with all the material experiences? Devotees, this bhajan tells us to chant the name of the Lord. Very, very simply. We don't have to do too much. But remember to chant the name of Bhagavan. Because the name of Bhagavan is Ati Mitha. It is very, very sweet, devotees. But just like, you have a big tray of laddu, and you sit down and watch the laddu whole day, but you never taste it, you'll never experience the sweetness of the laddu. In the same way, devotees, someone can say to us, Bhagavan's name is so sweet, but if we never take it into our own mouths and chant it, we'll never experience the sweetness of it. Ram naam ati mitha hai, Ram naam ati mitha hai, koi ga ke dekh le. Ram naam ati mitha hai, koi ga ke dekh le. आ जाते हैं राम कोई बुला के देख ले हो. राम नाम अति मीठा है, कोई गा के देख ले. आ जाते हैं राम कोई बुला के देख ले हो. राम नाम अति मीठा है. मन भगवान का मंदिर है. That our minds, devotees, is Bhagwan's mandir. So we have many physical mandirs, devotees, but the greatest mandir of Bhagwan is in our minds, devotees. Yaha mail na aane dena. That we should not allow any sort of negative things, any sort of bad thoughts, evil thoughts to enter into this shrine of our mind. मन भगवान का मंदिर है, यहाँ मैल न आने देना. हीरा जनमन मोल मिला, इस दर से गवा न देना। मन भगवान का मंदिर है, यह मिलन आने देना। हीरा जनमन मोल मिला, इस दर से गवा न देना। शीश दिए हरि मिलते हैं। How do we accomplish this, devotees? By constantly bowing our heads, giving up of that pride and that ego, devotees, bowing your heads to Bhagwan. शीश दिए हरि मिलते हैं, लोता के देख ले। आ जाते हैं राम कोई बुला के देख ले हो। राम नाम अति मीठा है, कोई गा के देख ले। आ जाते हैं राम कोई बुला के देख ले हो।
राम नाम अति मीठा है।
इस घर में अंधकार, वहाँ मेहमान कहाँ से आए। जिस मन में अभिमान, वहाँ भगवान कहाँ से आए। इस घर में अंधकार, वहाँ मेहमान कहाँ से आए। जिस मन में अभिमान, वहाँ भगवान कहाँ से आए। राम नाम की ज्योति हृदय, राम नाम की ज्योति हृदय जला के देख ले। आ जाते हैं राम कोई बुला के देख ले हो। राम नाम अति मीठा है, कोई गा के देख ले। आ जाते हैं राम कोई बुला के देख ले हो। So we all take this chance, devotees, now to experience the sweetness of the name of Bhagwan. Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram kahiye. Sita Ram, Sita Ram,
Sita Ram kahiye.
Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram kahiye. Sita Ram, Sita Ram,
Sita Ram kahiye.
सीता राम कहिए, सीता राम कहिए।
Sita Ram kahiye.
सीता
Sita Ram kahiye.
राम कहिए, सीता राम कहिए।
Sita Ram kahiye. Sita Ram kahiye.
जाहि विधि राखे राम, ताहि विधि रहिए। जाहि विधि राखे राम,
ताहि विधि रहिए।
जाहि विधि राखे राम, ताहि विधि रहिए।
ताहि विधि राखे राम, ताहि विधि रहिए।
सीता राम, सीता राम, सीता राम कहिए। सीता राम, सीता राम, सीता राम कहिए। बोले श्री रामचंद्र भगवान के जय। इस घर में अंधकार, वहाँ मेहमान कहाँ से आए। It said, devotees, that if the house is in darkness, when the mehman come, when the guests come, somebody come to visit you and the whole house is in darkness, they will assume what happened. Either they're not home or they're all sleeping. Right? So guests will not come at that time. And just like that, jis man mein abhiman vaha, that if in our minds there's great amount of abhiman and pride, Bhagavan kahan se aaye? How will Bhagavan come? Is there room for Bhagavan? Is there room for Bhagavan when the mind is full of pride, devotees? Sometimes the pride stops us even from saying Jai. Sometimes pride stops us from even opening our mouth to say Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. That pride tells our mind, there's no need to chant. Stay in your misery. Stay in your suffering. Remain in that position. Abhimana keeps us there. Pride keeps us there, devotees. The last 2 years plus, and we're still continuing with the issue of COVID. And we are so restricted in many, many ways of gathering and congregating and so on. But before this, many times you go to satsang, 40, 50 people is there. And you encourage devotees, chant the name of Bhagwan, chant the name of God. And what happened? Half of them chanting, if so much. The other half watching. What stops us, devotees? What prevents us from being apart? What stops us from engaging ourselves in this devotion? This line tells us, devotees, when that Abhiman is there, how Bhagavan can come? As my Reverend Father used to say, ego means edging God out. Edging God out. And the more ego we have, well, less room for Him. Less room for Bhagavan. So Bhajan says, Ram Naam ki jyoti hriday. That light, that name of Shri Ram, the lamp of the name of Shri Ram in our hearts. And let it burn in our hearts, devotees, burning out all those negativities, those wrong types of thinking, etc., that exists in our hearts, devotees. Kak Busundaji goes on to say, let us hear in Chaupai. नौकारूर चलत जग देखा चल अचल मोह बस आपु ही लेखा बोलो श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय बालक ब्रह्म ही न ब्रह्म ही गृहारी कहि परस पर मिथ्या बारी बोलो श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय जय श्री राम जय राम Kagbasundji continues to speak to Garudaji that how we become fooled in this world, how we come to have this misunderstanding. He says, Naukarud charata jagadekha achala moha basa apuhi lekha. He says that sometimes a person is sailing in a boat. Sailing in a boat, and that boat is in motion. But that person does not recognize that the boat is in motion, but feels that everything around him is moving. The whole world is moving, but he is not moving. You ever experienced that in your car? Sometimes sitting at a stoplight, and your car is motionless, and somebody starts to move forward, you feel you're moving backward. You experience that sensation, right? So sometimes we get that misunderstanding, devotees. Whereas this boat is moving, the world is stable. The world is stable. But it has that feeling that, oh, the entire world is moving, but I am not moving. Balak brahmahi na brahmahi grihadi. The children will play, and I don't know if they still have this now. But when I was growing up, children, when you go home, you go outside and play. Now children playing with the thumbs. You only exercise getting the thumbs. All the video games. But when I was growing up, you go outside in the yard and play. This country you can't go outside all the time. But yes, you can. In the winter time, they go and play in the snow. But anyhow, children will go outside and play, and they will spin around, and all their games and so on, all the antics they will do. And they spin around, they get dizzy, and they feel the whole world spinning around them. And they'll tell one another, no, you lying. It's not me who moving, the house moving, or that tree moving. You understand, devotees? And we get this understanding, false understanding, through the experiences that we have in this world. False experiences and false understanding, devotees. And Kak Busundaji goes on to say, let us hear in this Chaupai.
हरि विषयक अस मोह विभंगा सपने हुनहि अज्ञान प्रसंगा। बोलो श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। माया बस मति मंद भागी हृदय जमने का बहु विधि लागी। बोलो राम 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 सीता राम राम राम। बोलो राम 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 माया बस मति मंद भागी हृदय जमने का बहु विधि लागे। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। बोलो श्री राम जय राम
जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम।
Kak Busundaji continues to say, Hari Bishaik As Moha Bihanga Sapane Hunahi Agyan Prasanga. He says that to cast delusion onto the Lord, to say that the Lord is affected by Maya devotees. He says to Garudji, he says this is as gross as a lie. This is a lie because he says, Sapane hunahi agyan prasanga. That not even in a dream can the Lord be subject to ignorance. Not even in a dream. Again, devotees, we have to listen to our scriptures. These are not my words. I'm not coming up here and making up this. I'm giving you exactly what is being said. Sapani hu nahi gyan prasanga, that not even in a dream is the Lord subject to ignorance. He says, Maya bas mati mand abhagi. He says, those who are captivated by this Maya, those who have become dull-witted, their senses have been dulled by these material experiences, devotees. Those who are dominated by this Maya, Hridaya Jamanika Bahu Bidhilagi, and they have this thick mass of illusion over their souls. This thick veil of illusion over their soul. And we understand why we can't see Bhagavan, devotees. Why we can't see Bhagavan. We say Bhagavan is here, there and everywhere. God is here, there and everywhere. But we look and we can't see Him. Why? There's a thick veil of illusion in front of us. Now we have blackout curtains. If you buy blackout curtains for your house, and you put it up, and no matter how bright Surya Narayan Swami shining, can't come through blackout curtains. In order for us to see that light, devotees, we have to move it. We have to move those curtains. In order for us to understand Bhagavan and to see Bhagavan, we have to remove that veil of illusion, that veil of Maya that is in front of us. See beyond. See beyond it, devotees. Again, once we get caught up in the everyday activities, in the everyday experiences, what happens to our lives? What happens to our lives, devotees? Up and down, up and down, up and down. And that's how we go. This is how we go. When we get caught up in these everyday activities, everyday experiences. And we feel that, oh my God, this is the be-all and end-all of everything. Only to realize one day, it wasn't so important. It wasn't so important. But at the moment that we're experiencing it, yes. This is very important. Devotees, we have to understand what to place value on, what not to place value on, what to emphasize on in our lives, what not to emphasize on in our lives. Kagbhu Sundarji is giving us this wonderful teaching. And in this last half a chopai that we do this morning, let us hear what Kagbhu Sundarji continues to say.
Te sat hat bas sansay karahi nij agyan Ram par darahi. Jai Ram Shri Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Jai
Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram.
Te sat hat bas sansay karahi nij agyan Ram par darahi. Jai Ram Shri Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Jai Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Jai Raghupati Raghav.
Kagbhu Sundarji continues to say, those people who are affected by this illusion so greatly, te satahat bas sansay karhe, they will very foolishly and stubbornly obstinate in their understanding. Because if we see something one way, it's very hard to change somebody's mind, isn't it? It's very hard to change somebody's mind. Somebody look at this piece of cloth, I don't know if you online can see it, and it says yellow, or somebody says orange, or what color it is. Whatever their perception is, if you tell them something different, very hard for them to understand because you already formed a conclusion in their mind. They already form an opinion in their mind. And this is the problem in the world, devotees. Everybody feel that they are right. What they call this? Self-righteousness. Not righteousness, Righteousness is different. Self-righteousness. Righteousness is walking the right path, or the correct path. Self-righteousness, feeling that we right all the time. Everybody else is wrong. So when that opinion is formed, devotees, in our mind, becomes concrete in our mind, now it's very hard to change it. So those who have this thick veil of illusion polluting their mind, he says, they'll foolishly and stubbornly raise doubts in their mind, saying that Sri Ram is just like them, believing that Sri Ram is a mere human being, a mere mortal, due to this gross misunderstanding. And how can you change that perspective? So it's very foolish to argue with a foolish person. If you realize that someone is foolish and they're not going to change their mind, you don't argue with them. You leave them on their own. Eventually, one day, they may come to understanding. It's not our purpose, devotees, to change the entire world. Our purpose primarily is to change ourselves and develop ourselves. If by developing ourselves we can help another, then by all means, do that. But if you stretch out your hand and you realize that someone is not going to change, someone is not going to be different, then devotees, why waste the breath? Why waste your breath on such a person? It's very hard to change someone's opinion in someone's mind. And we all gravitate to what we believe in. We all gravitate to what we believe in. Some people may listen to the discourse that I'm giving from Sri Ramcharitamanas and fully subscribe to what I'm saying. And then there will be others who will say, what nonsense is this? Because in their mind, there's already some preconceived thoughts, ideas, beliefs that contradicts what is being said. So they'll think, oh, this is nonsense. Let me turn it off. Let me not listen. And this is where the concept of open-mindedness comes back. To be open-minded to whatever we hear. And not just try to force fit everything into our paradigm. Into that structure of our understanding. Not just force fit everything, devotees. Understanding that there's so much out there to learn. So much out there to know. So much ways that we can improve and benefit ourselves. That we owe it to ourselves, devotees. Responsibility towards ourselves to be open-minded and listen. Listen carefully and see if there's a value. If there's a value in it for you to help yourself to become better. Boli Shri Ram Chandra Bhagavan Ki Jai. Kagbhu Sundar Ji is telling us, let us not be like these individuals. Let us be better. Let us be better than all these individuals that he's speaking about, and not wallow in this misery of Maya. So devotees, at this time, we'll engage in our final arti. So those who are performing arti today, at home, you can feel free, go to your altar and perform the arti there. If not, we all stand in reverence to Prabhu as we engage in our final arti. Om Sajan Chavarti Sanyuktam Vahanina Yojitam Maya Dipam Grihan Devesh
त्रैलोक्यं तिमिरापहम् आरति श्रीरामायण जी की आरति श्रीरामायण कीरति कलित ललित सियपी की गावत ब्रह्मादिक मुनि नारद गावत ब्रह्मादिक मुनि नारद वाल्मीकि विज्ञान विशारद शुक सनकारि शेष और शारद शुक सनकारि शेष और बरने पवन सुत कीरति देखी गावत वेद पुराण अष्टदश गावत वेद पुराण अष्टदश चाहो शास्त्र सब ग्रंथन को रस मुनि जन धन संतन को सर्वस मुनि जन धन संतन को सार अंश सम्मत सब ही की गावत संतत शंभो भवानी गावत संतत शंभो और भक्त संभव मुनि विज्ञानी व्यास आर्य कवि बर्ज बखानी व्यास आर्य कवि बर्ज काग भुसुंदे गरुड़ के कलिमल हरानी विषय रस फीके कलिमल हरानी सुभग श्रृंगार मोती जुवती की दालन रोग भाव मोरे अमी की दलन रोग भाव मोरे तात मात सब विधि तुलसी की आरति श्री रामायण जी की आरति श्री रामायण कीरति कलित ललित सियपी की जय श्री राम हरे बोली श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय।
It's another wonderful morning of devotion that we have all been afforded this opportunity to join together this morning. As we prepare to conclude this morning, those once more who have flowers, please take a flower in your hand. And we all clasp our hands, we close our eyes, we bow our heads. Once more, focusing our minds on that beautiful form of Shri Krishna Bhagavan, or Maryada Purushottam Prabhu Shri Ram, whichever is our preference. We try to focus that mind upon our divine form, as once more we show gratitude. We offer pranam obeisance for this blessing of being together in satsang this morning, being able to be sheltered in this mandir this morning to engage in devotion and to ask for further guidance and protection and blessing as we all move forward in this journey of our lives. Let us all pray together, devotees. Harihi Om Mantrahinam Kriyahinam Bhaktihinam Janadanam Yat Pujitam Mama Deva Devi Paripurnam Tadastu May Om Vahanam Najanami Najanami Visarjanam Pujam Chaiva Najanami Kshamyatam Parameshwaram Tvameva Mata Shapita Tvameva Bandhu Shasaka Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityuramamritam Gamaya He Sarva Shaktiman Sachidananda Nirakar Nirvikar Sarvadhar Sarveshwar Sarva Vyapakan Taryami Ajaramar Nitya Pavitra Shrishti Karta Ko बारंबार नमस्कार है। हे परमात्मा भविष्य वर्तमान दुखियों का कष्ट हरण करके सुबुद्धि को प्रकाश करके जिससे सबका मंगल होए। ओम शांति 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 हरे ओम। We all join in this final kirtan as we conclude this morning's devotion. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Bolo Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Bolo Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Bolo Shri Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Bolo Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Bolo Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Bolo Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Bolo Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram Bolo Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai 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 Jai Ram। बोली श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, वृंदावन कृष्ण चंद्र की जय, ओरेसा जगन्नाथ की जय, बोलो रे भाई सब संतन की जय, सियापति रामचंद्र की जय, बोलिए श्री सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय। जय जय सीताराम। आसन लीजिए, प्लीज हैव योर सीट्स डिवोटीज। So this morning, as we conclude our devotion, we do have some devotees who have celebrated special occasions in their life during this past week. On Friday, I was together with Jaden and his family in celebrating his birthday. So happy belated birthday once more to Jaden. Also, Anupa Ragunanan celebrated her birthday this past week, so happy belated birthday to Anupa. Also, Rangi and Ramde Ragunanan celebrated their wedding anniversary this past week, so very happy wedding anniversary to both of you, wishing you many, many more years. Also, Kumari Ramdial celebrated her birthday the past week, and Kemi Maharaj earlier in this month celebrated her birthday. And last but not least is a very, very important member of our mandir, one who doesn't like the spotlight and always deflects praise and honor. She doesn't want it, and I know, she will feel a little uncomfortable, but it's important for me to say this, that we have, three wonderful devotees who are like backbones in this mandir. And those three are Gail, Hema, Shanti. Those three devotees. They are here early. They leave late, last. And without them, the functioning of the mandir will be very, very difficult. So during this past week, Hema celebrated her birthday. And we like to wish Hema a very, very happy, belated birthday. And we wish you Bhagwan's blessings for many, many more happy, healthy years to be with us and celebrate with us in the mandir, even though you don't like to celebrate too much. She celebrates everybody else's birthday, but not her own. So we wish you many, many more happy and healthy years to be with us and engage in devotion, celebrations, and of course, in the running and functioning of the mandir. So this morning, devotees, I just like to offer one verse of a very special bhajan, and on behalf of the occasions of all these devotees who are celebrating, wishing Hanumanji's blessings upon them.
ओ बोले बोले हनुमान बोलो भक्तों सिया राम श्री राम के चरणों में बंदे बिगड़े काम बोले बोले हनुमान
भक्त सिया राम श्री राम के चरणों में बंदे बिगड़े काम
बोले बोले हनुमान बोलो भक्त सिया राम श्री राम के चरणों में बंदे बिगड़े काम बोले बोले हनुमान
भक्त सिया राम श्री राम के चरणों में बंदे बिगड़े काम
बोले बोले हनुमान बोलो भक्त सिया राम बोल बोल तू राम रमैया जीवन फिर ना मिलेगा भैया बोल बोल तू राम रमैया
जीवन फिर ना मिलेगा भैया
दुनिया को ब्रह्म जाल है मूरख राम ही पार लगाए नैया राघव के चरणों में ही तो पाएगा विश्राम बोले बोले हनुमान बोलो भक्त सिया राम श्री राम के चरणों में बंदे बिगड़े काम बोले बोले हनुमान
सिया राम श्री राम के चरणों में बंदे बिगड़े काम
बोले बोले हनुमान बोलो भक्त सिया राम बजरंग बली बजरंग बली
बजरंग बली बजरंग बली
बजरंग बली बजरंग बली ओ बजरंग बली बजरंग बली बजरंग बली
बजरंग बजरंग बली बजरंग बली बजरंग बली बजरंग बली
बजरंग बली बजरंग बली बजरंग बली बजरंग बली बजरंग बली बजरंग बली। बोलो पावन पुत्र हनुमान की जय। So, all those who celebrated special occasions, and if I missed anybody who celebrated, please accept my apologies and Bhagwan's choices, grace and blessings upon each and every one. So, just one reminder, devotees, that on Wednesday of this week, we'll be celebrating Shri Ganesh Chaturthi, observing Shri Ganesh Chaturthi, and we are looking to start puja at 7 p.m. on that evening. So those who are wanting to join in offerings, of course, opportunity will be given during that session to make offerings to Lord Ganesha. So join with us Wednesday at 7. If there's any change in the time, we'll be putting out a notice on our Facebook page. But as of now, we accorded to start at 7 p.m., conclude at 9 p.m. So once more, devotees, God's choices, grace and blessings upon you all until Wednesday evening at 7. Keep safe, keep well. Jai Jai, Sitaram.